All right, we have a doozy for you guys today. Hussein Farhat, proven not natural.
Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Or was he? Oh, this has been the most frustrating last few hours I've had in a while. So let's hop right into it. Hussein, all right, bit of a background, obviously, great physique. The question is the time frame that he developed it in. Is it possible naturally? A lot of people say no. Some people say yes. Actually, a decent amount of people say yes, but obviously the no's are louder. People have made a big deal out of it. Hussein and Greg Doucette put out a challenge to a bunch of people. If you ever test him and his blood work comes in as not natural, then you win a certain amount of money. Blah, blah. Okay. And then a YouTube video from Scott Herman came out, and out of nowhere, Greg Doucette. I'm going to read his comment in full context. It turns out that Hussein was actually on a 16-month cycle when he first joined the gym, involving a lot of steroids as well as MK677, and then hopped off and has a certain type of polymorphism that allows him to keep all of the gains. I was as shocked as everyone, I'm sure, once this video comes out. But I was not part of it. I did not know that he had done this for the first 16 months of his lifting career, right? So obviously, plausible deniability makes sense if you find out retroactively that your business partner was taking gear. You don't want people to be like, okay, well, why were you covering for them? It's like, well, I didn't know, right? It's a pretty normal statement. And then later on, and a lot of people were saying, okay, well, he's just like trolling, right? It's just a troll, blah, blah, blah. The problem was he doubled down, right? So it's like, I even saw some people commenting on my channel. They said, well, I thought he was joking at first, but then he kept doubling down further and further and making sure. And that's how I felt, right? The first comment, I was like, okay, well, maybe he's just messing with people. And then he kept going about it. And so he said, the video has already been edited, but I think he's posting tomorrow. We thought about posting it on my wall, but I said to Hussein, you're the one that has to come clean. It's not me. And so it's going on his channel, but feel free to react to it after, right? Okay, so doubling down. And then more comments. Blood work don't lie. Guys, I swear to you, he's not on any steroids right now. Took gear in the past. He's not on steroids now. Not on clomiphene. His LH and F. So, like, we're talking, like, not just making a statement, right? We're talking about making a statement and then deciding to go into more details, give more details. People ask questions, he responds. So the whole, like, this is just trolling is you can't stand on that groundwork anymore, right? That's not trolling. Trolling is you make a comment in a random place, you leave, and it's a comment that's so over the top that people are like, oh yeah, you're just messing with people. But literally keeps going up. Blood work is accurate up to a max of 2 months, doesn't prove you're a lifetime natural. Is a plausible explanation that he previously used steroids and was able to maintain all of those gains. And despite 99.999% of people would have lost those gains, right? Which Greg has already been clear, like he thinks that Hussein has 1 in a million genetics, right? So like keeps going on further and further. And it's like, it's just, here's the thing. When I posted my video saying that Greg admitted to the fact that Hussein had taken stuff, the vast majority of the comments, and you can go take a look, the vast majority of the comments, it might change by the time this is posted, were, I knew it, sky is blue type post, blah, blah, blah. And then you had like a few people who were like, guys, Greg is just trolling. This is obviously a joke, which I find it funny to say obviously a joke. Meanwhile, like the vast majority of people are like, oh, this is an admittal. I'm not going to keep you guessing anymore. I talked with Greg directly. He was a bit cryptic at first, but then he told me no. He didn't actually take gear. This was kind of like a promotion for a video that he was going to make, where he was essentially going to talk about all the stuff that he did, and then at the end of the video be like, oh yeah, like this didn't actually happen, right? But did it make you feel better about yourself to hear me say those things, right? And I told him straight up, I said that self-contained video by itself would have been completely okay, right? Like that is a self-contained video would have been fine, because it's like that's what I would call a legitimate troll, right? You misdirect people for a little bit of the video, and then you're like, hey, it's just messing with you. Boom. Self-contained. Like if people don't stay to the end to see context, like that's kind of on them. But to post something days ahead of time, straight up, telling people a lie, and then doubling down on that, giving more details to it, just to be gone for a few days, doesn't make sense, right? Like, this is not the way that you deal with serious issues, which it is a serious issue. I know some people are like, who cares? Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, a lot of people do, because people want to know that the people that they look up to, that they trust as far as decisions, as far as what they're going to do with their life, their health, they want to know that these people are actually credible people who aren't lying to them. And if you're lying to them in one area, then you could be lying to them in another. And so it just doesn't make sense to try and do this trolling, right? Like, I don't even consider that trolling. Like, I just think that's just lying and doing it for the purpose of getting more views. And so I talked with Greg directly about this, and he hadn't necessarily, like, the way he phrased it to me was he hadn't seen it that way. And he had said, like, I was just like trying to kind of like build up the hype for it. Didn't really think of it in terms of, and it's like, I get it. Like, sometimes you get excited about an idea and you're like, haha, this is going to be so funny. And it's like, and I'm just like, okay, so what's going to end? He had hoped that like maybe people would make videos about it leading up to it, hype it up even more, like, which obviously is happening, right? Like, I made a video about it. Other people have made videos about it. And then it was like, what's the end goal at that point though?
Money!
Because your end goal at that point is, haha, got you, I lied. It's like, congratulations?
It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened. No way. We got you. Not a chance.
Like, so now you want us to trust you on other things, but you're just proving that you're okay with lying on this? Well, it's not a lie, it's a troll. It's like, you can't just cop yourself out of that, right? Trolls are mainly supposed to be harmless, right? They're not supposed to really impact people to the level that something like this can. So if we take a look, Jeff Nippard was getting so heavily attacked over this that he felt that he needed to make a post. Incredibly disappointing. I guess this is where you all get to say, I told you so. I'll go ahead and take my big fat L for defending Hussein. For what it's worth, I do think this is most likely just a very stupid publicity stunt from Greg to keep people talking about this. But that's the thing. It's like, Jeff has to publicly address a bunch of people who think that he's just destroyed his reputation. And whether or not you believe Jeff destroyed his reputation, this is posts like this from like the comments from Greg toy with other people's reputations, right? And that's the thing. It's like, you don't, when you have that big of a platform, you have to be very careful about the way you word things. Like, as I've gone further along in social media, I've tried to be more and more careful with how I word things as I see the influence that I can have. And there are times where I look back at content that I made early on where I'm like, oh, like, this is like harmless. And I'm like, like, I probably would word that differently now, right? Like, as you start to see how big your platform is and like what sort of influence, like influencer, that you can have on people, you have to be more careful about things. Otherwise, like, there are going to be thousands, tens of thousands of people that see, oh, Hussein isn't natural, Hussein lied, therefore, like, Jeff loses credibility, blah, 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 like, and they're not going to see the follow-ups, right? So there's going to be a bunch of people that will not see the follow-ups. They're going to see that, and it's going to be like it's going to be a blot on Jeff's reputation. It's just not smart, right? I personally, I view it as unethical as well, but at the very least, you can say it's not smart. I think we should be able to agree on that. I just don't view this as a good way to go about a situation that people do take seriously, right? And I know you may not agree that people should take it seriously, but people do. People take people's word very seriously. And I think that's something important. Like, you would never see me, oh yeah, like, I took a cycle when I was first starting out. I've been able to like maintain my gains, but I took a cycle, and then people ask more questions than me, double down on it, and then see me go away for a few days just to be like, haha, got y'all, you fools, right? Like, if you saw me do that, you'd be like, what the heck? It's not a mature way to deal with a subject that a lot of people take seriously. And so for the people that are like, oh, well, it was obvious trolling, it's not obvious. If you take a look, it's very, very clear if you go through the comment section of my video, other people's videos, the majority opinion is, oh, see, we knew it. So it's not obvious. If it was completely obvious, let's say, I don't know, let's say he said he has 1 in quadrillion genetics and blah, 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 like where you go so far over the top that it's like, okay, like everybody can see this is a troll. Not everybody can see it's a troll, clearly. So whether you feel like, oh, well, I knew he was trolling, doesn't mean that the vast majority of people did. The vast majority of people took this as, this is Greg admitting it, because most people don't go into further details on lying as a troll on a situation that's very serious to their overall business. At the very least, not smart, in my opinion, unethical. I'm sorry, I could just rant about this for a long period of time, but like here, good example. Runvis Coaching says, take the video down. You clearly don't know how to tell if someone is natural or not. How can the rest of them be trusted now? And that's like, that's a top comment on this post, right? Like, I know you guys are gonna be like, oh, well, I saw comments of people saying it was trolling. Yeah. And there's also, most of the top comments with the most likes are about the fact that, oh yeah, well, it was obvious he's not natural. Fine. Like, finally, we're getting it to come clean, blah, blah, blah. That's not good trolling, right? Like, man, it frustrates me because it doesn't help anybody, right? Like, you might, I mean, it might help some views short term for some videos, but it doesn't help anybody to be more trustworthy. It doesn't help for people who are truly natural, who are trying to be like, you know what, like, we want transparency in the fitness industry. And like, this is the opposite of transparency. It's messing with people's minds. It's getting people to like be roller coastered all over the place on things. So whether you believe that Hussein is natural or not, the whole way that this situation was handled is terrible for everybody. Nobody actually wins out of this other than some videos get some views, right? But that's not win. That's not an overall win for the fitness industry. And it's not something that should be praised. I'm not a fan of the way this was done. Now, to be fair, I do want to make it clear, when Greg talked to me, he said, you know what, like the basic end sentiment of our conversation was, you know what, yeah, that wasn't smart. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to make a video on how I shouldn't have made those comments, right? So it's like he recognizes it. The problem is a lot of the damage is already done. And it's just unfortunate to see for guys like myself who are trying to keep things as transparent as possible to watch other people muddy the waters. And it's a frustrating scenario. Anyways, there you go. You guys get to watch me rant about a situation that I am pretty darn passionate about, which is, if you're going to say something, as my grandpa would say, let your word be your word. His basic sentiment behind that was, you shouldn't have to say, I promise after everything in order for people to be able to trust what you say. Just not a good situation overall. There's really nothing more to say about it, but I hope you at least got to see some stuff cleared up. Hope you enjoyed the video overall. And if you think that I'm off base for thinking that this is something that is a net negative for the fitness industry, feel free to tell me. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I just am not thinking this through clearly. But in my opinion, it's neither smart nor ethical to go about things in this manner. As always, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. TNF out.